All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. This time, we're heading straight into the heart of the Premier League. Leicester City versus Chelsea. Sounds pretty standard, right? Well, not quite.
Quite.
See, there's a bit of a backstory here, a little extra spice to this matchup.
Yeah. Chelsea's got themselves a new manager, right? Enzo Maresca.
Enzo Maresca, exactly. And guess what?
Last season, he was coaching Leicester.
You got it. He was coaching Leicester just last season. Talk about a homecoming. So we've got Chelsea sitting pretty in third place.
Yeah, they're looking good.
Leicester, on the other hand, well,
Bit of a rough patch, you could say.
they're hovering just above that relegation zone.
New to the Premier League this year, too. Always adds a bit of pressure.
Absolutely. And to top it all off,
Mm.
they haven't tasted victory in their last 3 games. Ouch.
No wins in 3. And let's not forget that Manchester United match right before the break.
Yeah, that was a tough one to watch.
3-0 loss to Manchester United. Not exactly a confidence booster.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they've got this injury situation. Ricardo Pereira, their defender, out for a long time.
4 months, at least. With an injury like that, it's going to be tough for Leicester to hold their ground.
Especially against a team like Chelsea. Right. I mean, historically speaking, Chelsea's pretty much had Leicester's number.
Oh, yeah. They've dominated a lot of those matchups. But, Chelsea's had a couple of draws recently themselves.
They have, yeah. So I'm wondering, could those draws be a sign that the tide is turning?
It's possible before those draws, they were on a real winning streak.
True, true. And, well, let's face it, Chelsea's got a knack for scoring goals, especially against teams lower down the table.
Oh, absolutely. When they're away from home, playing against teams like Leicester, they average almost 3 goals a game. It's a scary stat.
And if I remember correctly, their last 2 visits to Leicester's King Power Stadium.
3 goals each time.
Exactly. 3 goals each time. Clinical. So, yeah, Chelsea's offense is not to be taken lightly. But here's the question that's been on my mind. What about Leicester's attack? Can they even put up a fight against a team as in form as Chelsea?
Well, that is the big question, isn't it? Scoring goals has been a real struggle for them, especially at home. They've only managed 1 goal in each of their 5 home games this season.
1 goal in each game at home? That's rough.
It is, and to make matters worse, several of their key forwards are out injured. It's an uphill battle for sure.
No doubt about it. It's almost like they're caught in a weird paradox.
How so?
Well, on one hand, they're struggling to score. But statistically speaking, both teams have found the back of a net in 82% of Leicester's league games this season. So they are scoring, just not a lot.
That's a good point. It definitely makes you wonder. Makes you think that maybe, just maybe, they can exploit some of Chelsea's vulnerabilities.
Yeah, and this is where I think things get really, really interesting.
Oh, why is that?
Because Chelsea's manager, Enzo Maresca, he knows Leicester inside and out.
Yeah.
He knows their weaknesses, their tactics.
He probably knows their pregame rituals at this point.
Right, that's got to be a massive advantage for Chelsea.
Could be, but it's a double-edged sword, right?
How so?
I mean, Leicester's players know Maresca just as well.
You're right. They've trained under him, played for him.
Exactly. They know his style, his formations, maybe even some of his weaknesses.
It's like a high-stakes chess match where both sides have the other's playbook.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
A real tactical battle of wits.
So, with all that in mind, how do you see this match playing out? Chelsea's a clear favorite, according to the bookies. But is it really a foregone conclusion?
Well, the Standard seems to think so. They're predicting a 2-1 win for Chelsea. And Betfair has them as the heavy favorites, too. But football's full of surprises, isn't it? Never underestimate the power of home advantage and the desire to prove a point. Leicester will be playing with fire, wanting to show their former coach what they're capable of.
True, true. And pride can be a powerful motivator. So this might be more of a challenge for Chelsea than some people think. Before we dive into some specific players to watch, I'm curious about the tactical approaches we might see. Given Leicester's injury woes and Chelsea's attacking prowess, how do you think each side will adapt? Will Leicester sit back and defend? Will Chelsea go all-out attack from the get-go?
Yeah, it's a tough one for Leicester, that's for sure. Their attack is already weakened, right?
Definitely.
And then you've got Vardy, Daka, Cordova-Reid, all still out with injuries. I mean, they're missing some serious firepower up front. So I think realistically, they're going to have to play it safe.
Sit back, absorb the pressure.
Exactly. They might go with something like a 5-4-1 formation, really try to shore up that defense, and then, maybe try to catch Chelsea on the break, a quick counterattack, something like that.
Not the most exciting brand of football, but probably the smartest approach given their current situation.
Yeah, I think so. It's all about playing to your strengths, right? And right now, Leicester's strength is definitely not their attack.
So if Leicester does decide to park the bus, so to speak, how do you think Chelsea will respond? Do they stick with their usual attacking style, or will they try to be more patient, control possession, try to break down Leicester's defense?
Well, Chelsea has a few injury concerns of their own, of course. But the good news is they've had some key players return from injury just in time for this match.
Oh, really? Who are we talking about?
Cole Palmer, Levi Colwill, and Jadon Sancho. Big boost for them.
That is a big boost. Gives Maresca more options, more tactical flexibility.
Exactly. So even if Leicester does sit back, I still think Chelsea will likely go with their preferred 4-3-3, try to maximize their attacking potential. They've got the players to break through even a well-organized defense.
I mean, we were talking earlier about Chelsea's tendency to score late goals,
Yeah.
especially against teams lower down the table. Could that be a factor in this match? If they're not getting the early goals, will they just turn up the heat in the later stages?
Absolutely. It's something Leicester needs to be wary of. They can't afford to switch off for a moment. And, Chelsea's got players like Pedro Neto who just seem to come alive in those crucial final minutes.
He's been on a scoring streak lately, hasn't he?
He has. Both of his recent goals have come late in the game. If this match is tight, he could be the difference maker. And let's not forget, it's not just about individual brilliance with Chelsea. It's about their system. Their whole approach is built around creating chances. They move the ball quickly. They use their fullbacks to overlap. They overload the wide areas. It's a constant threat.
Right. It's that coordinated movement, that constant pressure that really wears teams down. But let's not write off Leicester just yet. They've got their own strengths, their own ways of playing. What should we be looking for from their side? Are there any tactical wrinkles they could throw at Chelsea to disrupt their rhythm?
Well, their midfield is going to be crucial in this one. Absolutely crucial. They've got to disrupt Chelsea's passing lanes, stop them from building momentum. If they can do that, they might be able to frustrate Chelsea, maybe even force them into some mistakes. Yuri Tielemans, if he's fit, will be key for them. He's got a great engine, good at breaking up play.
Right. And then maybe launch a quick counterattack.
Exactly. They might even try to exploit Chelsea's high defensive line, maybe with some quick through balls, try to get their pacey wingers in behind the defense. It's risky, but if they can pull it off, it could catch Chelsea off guard.
So it sounds like speed and precision are going to be key for Leicester if they want to create chances. Do they have any players who could really make a difference in this kind of scenario? Someone who could be a potential game changer?
Keep an eye on Steffi Mavidi. He's been a bit inconsistent, but he's got real talent. He can be a handful for defenders. In fact, he even scored against Chelsea earlier this season.
Oh, right. I remember that. So he knows how to find the back of the net against this Chelsea team.
He does. Now, he's been prone to yellow cards lately. Got to watch his discipline. But if he can stay focused, his pace and trickery could cause Chelsea some problems. He's definitely one to watch.
So it seems like we're in for a fascinating tactical battle. Both teams with their strengths, their weaknesses, and of course this added layer of the Maresca factor.
Right, that's the wild card, isn't it?
Exactly. Do you think his inside knowledge of Leicester will give Chelsea a psychological edge? Or could it backfire if Leicester uses that familiarity to predict and counter Chelsea's moves?
Hard to say for sure. Could go either way. I mean, Maresca's definitely going to try to use whatever insights he has to exploit any weaknesses he remembers from his time at Leicester. But on the other hand, Leicester's players, they might be extra fired up to prove him wrong. They might have a little extra motivation to show him what they've learned, how they've improved.
It's like a mental game within the game. Fascinating. Now, we talked about the odds earlier, and they definitely favored Chelsea. But we all know football's full of upsets. What would it take for Leicester to defy the odds and pull off a victory here?
Well, first and foremost, they're going to need a heroic defensive performance. Chelsea's attack is relentless, so they'll have to be at their absolute best to keep them at bay. And then on the other end, they need someone like Mavidi to have a magical game.
Yeah.
Someone who can create something out of nothing. And of course, a little bit of luck never hurts. A lucky bounce, a missed penalty, those moments that can swing the momentum in a tight game. It's a tall order, no doubt about it.
For sure. But not impossible.
Not impossible at all. Stranger things have happened in football, believe me.
And let's not forget the King Power Stadium crowd. They could be a real force when they're behind their team.
Absolutely. That home crowd, especially when their team is considered the underdog, can give them that extra edge. It's like having a 12th player on the pitch. The atmosphere can be electric.
So we've got all the ingredients for a potentially thrilling match. A great atmosphere, a clash of tactical styles, a former coach returning to his old stomping ground. For our listener who has now absorbed all this insight, what's the one key thing they should keep in mind as they watch this game unfold? What's the big question that will be answered on the pitch?
The big question, the one I'll be watching closely, is this. Will Maresca's knowledge of Leicester be Chelsea's secret weapon? Or will it backfire spectacularly? How he uses that knowledge and how Leicester reacts, that's going to be the key to this match.
A real tactical and psychological duel. Our listener can watch for that right from the opening whistle.
Exactly. Pay attention to the substitutions, the formations, the little adjustments that Maresca makes. It'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. But beyond the Maresca factor, what else should our listener be looking for? What are some of those key tactical battles or individual matchups that could decide the outcome?
Well, for me, the midfield battle is going to be crucial. Like we talked about, Leicester needs to disrupt Chelsea's rhythm. If they can do that, they have a chance. Also, watch how Chelsea's defense deals with those counterattacks. If they're caught sleeping, it could be costly. And of course, those individual duels. Can Mavidi get the better of Chelsea's defenders? Can Neto find the space he needs to create those late-game heroics?
All excellent points. It just goes to show that even in a match where one team is the clear favorite on paper, there are so many layers, so many potential turning points. That's what makes football so unpredictable.
And so compelling to watch. You never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. So to our listener, as you settle in to watch Leicester take on Chelsea, remember, it's not just about the final score. It's about appreciating the nuances of the game, the tactical chess match, the individual stories unfolding out there on the pitch. Who knows, we might even witness a moment of magic, a goal that will be replayed for years to come. That's the beauty of this sport, right? Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. That's why we love it. It really is. You know, every match, it's like a story waiting to happen. And we, the fans, we get to see it all unfold. And this match, this one, with all its history, the tactics, the personal connections, it's got the potential to be something special.
Well said. Well said. And as our listener gets ready for this one, I want to leave them with one final thought. We've talked tactics, predictions, all that. But at the end of the day, football, it's about passion. It's about those moments that you just can't predict. So when you're watching Leicester and Chelsea go head-to-head, don't get too stuck on the analysis. Just let yourself get swept up in it all. The drama, the crowd, the highs, the lows. That's the real beauty of it all.
Couldn't agree more. Let the match unfold naturally. Enjoy those flashes of brilliance, those gutsy plays, those unexpected twists and turns. That's what makes this sport so captivating.
Exactly. Football, it's more than just a game. It reflects who we are.
Yeah.
You know, our triumphs, our heartbreaks, the way we come together, the way we share those moments. And sometimes, those moments that defy all logic, those are the most satisfying. So to our listeners, you watch this match, embrace the uncertainty, savor the tension, and remember, in football, just like in life, anything is possible.
Well said. Enjoy the match.
Thanks for joining us on this deep